Welcome to Cardano for Everyone, a podcast series from Pasta Steak Pool. Each episode explores something new about Cardano in a way that's simple and accessible for everyone. In the mood for some Cardano magic? Let's get started.
Ready to dive into something pretty groundbreaking. Okay, so we're looking at Cardano's Hydra protocol today. If you're listening to this, you're probably interested in how Hydra is going to make Cardano crazy fast. And you're definitely in the right place. And before we really get into it, can I just say, IOHK, the company behind Cardano, rebranded to IOG a while back, but they still use IOHK sometimes. It's like they just can't let go of the old name.
Well, they're still focused on building a secure, scalable, and sustainable blockchain. And to understand Hydra, we need to look back at Cardano's roots. It was founded in 2015 by Charles Hoskinson and Jeremy Wood. Both of them worked on Ethereum early on. They had this vision for Cardano to be like a blockchain built for the future, and it really shows. But even though Cardano is already doing pretty well, processing 250 to 300 transactions per second, it still runs into that classic blockchain problem. How do you balance scalability, security, and decentralization? That's where Hydra comes in. It's this layer 2 solution to really push what's possible.
Okay, so Hydra is like Cardano's secret weapon for handling tons of transactions. Everyone's talking about it like it's going to change everything.
Yeah, the potential is definitely there.
Like, we're talking 1 million transactions per second. That's what everyone keeps saying. Visa level.
Visa level throughput. That's kind of the holy grail for blockchain, isn't it?
It is. So let's break it down. Like, what is Hydra, really?
So at its core, Hydra is a layer 2 solution. It's built on top of the main Cardano blockchain.
Okay, so layer 2, meaning
Meaning it doesn't change the main blockchain itself.
to handle more transactions, basically.
Exactly. It's designed to tackle those scalability issues that blockchains often run into.
Because every transaction has to go through the main chain.
Yeah, which creates bottlenecks. So Hydra takes a lot of those transactions off-chain.
Off-chain. Okay, so how does that actually work?
Hydra uses these things called Hydra heads. Imagine like little branches coming off the main blockchain. Each Hydra head is kind of like its own mini blockchain.
So we're splitting things up instead of one big blockchain trying to do it all.
And each Hydra head can handle its own transactions independently.
So they're isolated from the main Cardano blockchain then?
Not exactly. They still follow the same rules, the same functionality. It's called isomorphic state channels.
Isomorphic. So they're like mini versions of the main Cardano network, but separate. That's clever. So how much can one of these Hydra heads actually handle?
Each Hydra head can process around 1,000 transactions per second.
1,000. But how do we get to 1 million then?
Well, that's the beauty of it. You can have tons of Hydra heads running at the same time.
Ah, I see. Multiply the power by running multiple Hydra heads.
You could have hundreds, even thousands, working in parallel.
Okay, now we're getting into those big numbers. But if these transactions are happening off-chain, does that mean they're less secure?
That's a fair question. But actually, Hydra has some really cool features to keep things safe.
Like what?
Well, for one, there's something called constraint-emitting machines, or CEMs for short.
CEMs.
Think of them like checkpoints within each Hydra head.
Checkpoints. So like making sure everything's running smoothly.
Making sure all the transactions follow the rules, no funny business.
No sneaking in any bad transaction.
Exactly. The CEMs are there to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, so we've got these checkpoints within each Hydra head. What about between different Hydra heads? How do they communicate?
Hydra uses what's called a unanimous consensus mechanism. Every participant in a Hydra head needs to agree on each transaction before it goes through.
So no one can just force through a transaction without everyone else being on board.
It makes it extremely secure and very difficult to manipulate.
But what if there's a disagreement? Like 2 participants can't agree on something.
Hydra has a solution for that too. It's called state closure.
State closure, so they just close the Hydra head.
In a way, yes. They basically return the state of that Hydra head back to the main Cardano blockchain.
So the main chain acts as the ultimate judge.
It provides a transparent way to resolve any disputes.
That's clever. Okay, so we've talked about handling more transactions and keeping things secure. What other benefits does Hydra offer?
Well, one of the biggest advantages is speed.
Okay, because
Because transactions happen off-chain, there's almost instant finality.
no waiting around for block confirmations.
That's huge for applications that need real-time responsiveness.
I could see that. Does moving transactions off-chain make them cheaper?
Absolutely. Transaction fees on Hydra are significantly lower.
So faster and cheaper? Sounds pretty good so far. But is Hydra ready for prime time right now?
Well, it's a complex system. There are definitely some challenges in implementing it on a large scale. But the core technology is solid and development is moving really fast.
So where do you see the biggest potential for Hydra in the real world?
One area that immediately comes to mind is micropayments. With Hydra, you can send tiny fractions of a cent to anyone almost instantly and for a tiny fee.
Wow. So things like tipping content creators or even paying for a single article online become realistic.
Exactly. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
That's really cool. What other areas are you excited about?
Gaming is another one. Imagine massive online games where you can buy, sell, and trade items in real time with almost no fees.
It would completely change the way we think about in-game economies.
And then there's DeFi.
Decentralized finance, so lending platforms, exchanges, all that.
Yeah, Hydra could make them way faster and cheaper to use.
It's like supercharging the whole DeFi ecosystem.
And then there's the Internet of Things.
IoT, so all those connected devices.
Hydra could allow them to communicate and exchange data and payments securely and efficiently.
We're talking smart homes, self-driving cars, entire cities running on blockchain.
That's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is, but let's be realistic for a second. 1 million TPS sounds incredible, but is that achievable in the near future?
It's important to understand that Hydra is not some magic bullet. It's not going to instantly make every blockchain capable of handling that kind of volume.
So it's more about a gradual scaling up.
Exactly. The focus right now is on perfecting the technology for smaller groups and then expanding from there.
So it's like building a solid foundation first and then scaling up as we go.
And there's research going on right now to connect multiple Hydra heads.
So like creating a network of Hydra heads.
Interhead Hydra, they call it. It's a key step towards reaching that ultimate goal of 1 million TPS.
So it's a journey.
But the destination is definitely worth the effort.
You mentioned something called Hydra tail optimization.
Well, it's all about making the process of closing a Hydra head as efficient as possible.
Okay, closing a Hydra head.
Remember, when a Hydra head is closed, its final state needs to be recorded back on the main Cardano blockchain.
So what does it actually do?
It uses some pretty clever cryptographic techniques. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds.
Okay.
Basically, it minimizes the amount of data that needs to be transferred back to the main chain.
So it's like packing your bags really efficiently before checking out of your hotel.
You don't want to be carrying around a bunch of unnecessary stuff. And that's what makes Hydra tail optimization so important. It makes closing a Hydra head quick and cost-effective. It means users can quickly and easily access their funds once a Hydra head is closed without putting a strain on the network.
Got it. So it's all about making things run smoothly, even when you're wrapping things up. So we've got these Hydra heads processing transactions, off-chain CEMs, acting as checkpoints.
Yeah.
Everyone agreeing through this unanimous consensus and state closure as a safety net if things go wrong. And now Hydra tail optimization for a smooth exit. It's like a well-oiled machine. Are there any parts of Hydra that are still works in progress?
Well, one area where there's a lot of active research is interhead Hydra. Remember how we talked about connecting multiple Hydra heads together?
Yeah, like building bridges between those separate rooms.
That's what interhead Hydra is all about.
And the challenges.
The main hurdle is figuring out how to maintain security and consensus across multiple Hydra heads.
So making sure everything still runs smoothly, even with all those connections.
It's a complex task.
But if they can pull it off.
It would be a huge step towards that 1 million TPS vision.
So it's like creating a network of interconnected superhighways.
A network of Hydra heads all working together to handle massive amounts of traffic. It's like we're witnessing the birth of a new kind of internet.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and talk about the human element here. How do you see Hydra impacting the average person?
Well, imagine being able to send tiny fractions of a cent to anyone in the world instantly and with practically no fees. Suddenly, things like tipping content creators or paying for small online services become totally feasible.
And it's not just about money, right?
Think about the Internet of Things.
All those connected devices.
With Hydra, they could communicate and exchange data securely and efficiently.
And the big thing is it moves a lot of the work off of the main blockchain. Like imagine a super busy highway at rush hour, it gets jammed up and slow. Well, Hydra's like adding a bunch of express lanes that run alongside the main highway. Cars can just zoom through.
Perfect analogy. These express lanes, they're called Hydra heads. like mini blockchains that run alongside the main Cardano blockchain. What's unique is that they mirror the rules and everything from the main blockchain. That's why we call them isomorphic state channels. Each Hydra head can handle something like 1,000 transactions every second just by itself. Now imagine multiple heads going at the same time. The potential throughput is huge. We're talking millions of transactions per second. This is the kind of speed we need for real-world stuff.
But I'm still kind of stuck on these Hydra heads. Like, how do they work?
It's pretty straightforward, actually. Participants in a Hydra head lock up some of their funds from the main Cardano blockchain. It all goes into a smart contract. This creates a secure pool of funds just for transactions within that Hydra head. This is what off-chain transaction processing is like in a Hydra head. It's fast and efficient because it's all happening away from the main blockchain. Imagine the casino has cameras recording every single thing at the poker table. These cameras are taking snapshots of the game all the time. They record who has what chips without slowing the game down. This is kind of like how Hydra heads use snapshotting. They efficiently record the state of transactions, and they don't bog down the main blockchain with every little detail.
That makes sense. It's like a detailed record of everything. But what about when we're done playing? What happens when we want to cash out?
That's the final step closure. When the poker game ends, you trade those special room chips back for regular chips. Then you can use those anywhere in the casino. It's the same with the Hydra head. When it closes, the final state of all the transactions is recorded on the main Cardano blockchain. This makes sure all the funds are accounted for and everybody gets what they're owed.
So Hydra heads have a way to safely go back to the main blockchain. That's good to know, especially with crypto. But with everything happening off-chain, how do we know it's all secure? What's stopping someone from cheating?
Hydra takes care of that in a few ways. Remember, isomorphic state channels. That isomorphic part is important. It means each Hydra head follows the same rules and security as the main Cardano blockchain. On top of that, Hydra heads use something called unanimous consensus. This means everyone in a Hydra head has to agree that a transaction is valid before it can go through. It's like everyone at the poker table checking each other's bets to make sure no one's trying to cheat.
Safety in numbers, I guess. What about those snapshots? Are those secure?
That's where constraint-emitting machines, or CEMs, come in. Think of them like superpowered casino security cameras. They're programs that are always checking transactions in a Hydra head against a set of rules. They act as watchdogs, making sure everything follows the rules and preventing any funny business. So you've got unanimous consensus isomorphic state channels and CEMs. It all adds up to a really secure environment for transactions off-chain. Decentralized exchanges, high-frequency trading, you name it.
So no more slowdowns, no more waiting forever for transactions to go through.
And here's another game changer, instant finality. On regular blockchains, you often have to wait for confirmations before a transaction is final. With Hydra heads, transactions are final as soon as everyone agrees. No waiting, no worries about reversals. And I want to clear up another misconception. Some people thought only stake pool operators, the ones who validate transactions on Cardano, could run Hydra heads, but that's not true.
Wait, really? So anyone can run a Hydra head?
And in the future, services like Light Wallets will probably offer managed Hydra heads to users. That'll make it even easier to use.
Hydra is tackling scalability, reducing costs, keeping things secure, and anyone can use it. It's a big step for Cardano.
And the research is going even further. They're looking into virtual heads. That's where Hydra heads can run inside other Hydra heads.
Wait, Hydra heads inside Hydra heads? That sounds wild.
Imagine if each Hydra head is like a server handling transactions. A virtual head would be like a virtual server running on that server. It adds even more scalability and flexibility without compromising security or decentralization.
So it's like a skyscraper of scalability. Each floor is a new level of efficiency.
And the best part is Hydra is always getting better. There's always new research and improvements. The Cardano team is really dedicated to pushing the limits, and the community is a big part of it. They give feedback and contribute to the code. Hydra represents a major step forward in blockchain technology.
It's not just about scalability either.
It's about making blockchain more efficient, more accessible, more user-friendly for everyone. The thing that's really important to remember is that Hydra is an open source project.
Open source, meaning?
Meaning anyone can contribute to its development. Anyone can audit the code. Anyone can help shape its future.
That's the beauty of open source.
It fosters collaboration and transparency and innovation.
It's not just a few big companies calling all the shots.
It's a global community of passionate individuals working together to build something truly groundbreaking.
And that community aspect is something I find really inspiring.
There are so many talented and dedicated people from all over the world who are contributing to Hydra's success.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to come up with the next killer app powered by Hydra.
It's an exciting time to be involved in the space. The possibilities are truly limitless. So we've covered a lot about Hydra.
We really have, from the technical details to the potential impact on everything, it seems like.
Yeah, and I think what's striking is how Hydra goes beyond just, making blockchain faster.
It's not just about speed.
It's about expanding what blockchain can actually do. Who knows what incredible innovations will come out of it?
It's like giving a powerful new tool to a bunch of brilliant minds. So for our listeners who are thinking, okay, this sounds amazing, how do I learn more? Where should they start?
Well, the great thing about Hydra and Cardano in general is that it's all open source. All the code is publicly available. Anyone can look at it, study it, even contribute to it. And the Cardano community is amazing, super supportive.
There are forums, chat groups, tons of online resources.
Yeah, places where people can ask questions, share ideas, collaborate on projects.
So if you're feeling inspired by all this Hydra talk, don't be shy. Jump into the community.
That's the beauty of this technology. It's open to everyone. The only limit is your imagination.
I love that. So we've talked a lot about Hydra today, and it's clearly a game changer. A whole world of new applications. It's pretty exciting stuff. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep learning, keep pushing those boundaries until next time.
Thank you for being part of Cardano for Everyone. We hope you gained something valuable from today's episode. If you'd like to support our mission of making Cardano knowledge accessible for all, consider selecting Pasta from the pool list when you delegate. Every bit of support helps us bring more content to listeners like you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll see you on the next episode.